This is Live from the Table, the official podcast of the world-famous Comedy Cellar, coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Comedy. Also available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are up on YouTube for a multimedia experience. This is Dan Naturman, Comedy Cellar comedian. I'm here with Noam Dworman, the owner of the Comedy Cellar. We're here with Periel Aschenbrand, who is our producer. We're here also with Raanan Hershberg.
Thanks for having me, everybody.
Raanan is a Comedy Cellar comedian. He comes to us from Kentucky or some weird place.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Ariel Elias is also from Kentucky.
She's from Lexington.
And her act, she focuses on being a Jew from Kentucky, but you don't really go there. That's not.
We go there. We both go there.
Is this number 3 in our anti-Zionist comedian Jew series?
This has been a ongoing joke.
Joke?
That I'm an anti-Zionist.
Should I bring up your old tweets? Go ahead.
I made one joke once about Israel, and now I'm like, he treats me like I'm Hamas. I made one joke about Israel.
What was the joke again? You remember?
I don't even
It was an
remember.
analogy where he's like the kid that got beat up at school, but now he has power and he's beating up other kids.
I can't remember.
So it was.
I
The analogy was the Jews got beat up and now the Jews have power and they're beating up other.
I make fun of. It's a joke. I was making fun of everyone.
Number one, Raanan has a new special out
Yes.
called Brave.
Brave, yeah.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, you can watch it now.
And it's great.
You seem uncertain about that.
No. I want to get to my second point, which is that I think that it's an unfair characterization to say that he's an anti.
Well, I am a Zionist.
Yeah.
Well, he
What's up,
made the
Zionist?
joke and we had him on the podcast to discuss the joke and
I'm a Zionist by the original definition.
Ah,
Not the actual definition, which is believing that Israel should exist, that Jews should have a homeland in Israel.
Is there any other definition?
Well, a lot of bad faith actors have changed the definition without telling everyone into meaning, I guess.
a hard line, more of a hard line position, meaning expand as much as we can.
Yeah, manifest destiny,
You know.
religious, more like religious. I guess some kind of intense, uncritical. It's a vilified word that they've changed.
But I don't think they've actually changed the meaning. I think that when they say they're anti-Zionist, most people who say they're anti-Zionist think that Israel shouldn't exist.
I think it's a mix. I think there are people who are anti-Zionists who understand what that word means and truly believe Israel shouldn't exist. I think they've also used that word to kind of influence other people to say it who don't really fully know what it means. So you have a lot of people saying I'm anti-Zionist, but then if you talk to them and explain, they'd be like, no, I think Israel should exist.
Well, then they're not anti-Zionist. They're
Right.
just
Well, they don't know what
tricked.
Zionist. They don't know what.
Okay, but you can't say you're anti something if you don't know what it means, right?
Well, people do it all the
Well,
time.
but they're saying it. They are saying those words,
People do. I agree with Raanan. People, they've changed the definition.
I love
the
that
word.
you think people should be tethered to facts and.
I'm just saying I'm not agreeing with them. I'm just saying they are now saying they're anti-Zionist and they don't really know what it means.
Right.
Because there are the anti-Zionists who do know what it means, I think sometimes want to spread that in a way in which people use it without fully knowing,
Okay, what would you say the comedy community is at vis-a-vis the war in Israel?
It's very divided. It's been tough for me because I'm Jewish.
Raanan.
I'm Raanan. I have an Israeli name.
Which is, I think, Hebrew for fresh.
Yes. I have an Israeli name, and every Uber driver is Arab. It's always awkward. Someone asked that I got picked up recently. They're like, "What is that name?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know." But I think most comedians are dumb. And
Dumb?
Yeah, at least I think most comedians aren't
Compared to school teachers?
aren't knowledgeable. Most people aren't knowledgeable about Israel. You know what I mean? So
They are not.
yeah, Israel's like a very complicated. It's the most.
But I agree with you. Most
comedians
comedians are not dumb, but
they're not dumb about comedy, but I think most people.
most
are
comedians are
ignorant.
not intellectual powerhouses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I
Anything over a 120 IQ in comedy is unnecessary and probably counterproductive.
I have a circle of Jewish comics and some non-Jewish comics who we all have conflicted feelings about everything, which is the only thing you should have, I think. It's all conflicted feelings and a somewhat hopeless, horrible situation all over. And we kind of get together and, commiserate a lot. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of comics who I'm no longer friends with.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because they cut you off or you cut them off?
I cut them off. I mean, not no one close, like super close. And I have friends who are close because people post stuff, and which is always a bad idea because you're posting and you're doing it in a way where it's gonna really upset a lot of people. And Jews specifically are put in a hard place where, you know, I've been pressured by people to be like, when are you going to take a stand? You know, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And people actually think I have a platform, which is nice, but not true. But like, I've definitely had comics, one comic.
Take a stand against Israel.
I had one guy message me, when are you going to take a stance on this genocide? And I was like, I wonder which side you want me to calling it genocide. But there was one comedian I know who did a bit saying, it was a joke. He posted it online. He said, in this war, I support the Palestinians because the Palestinian has never tried to raise my rent or steal my security deposit. And I confronted him. I said, this is just hate speech. This is just anti-Semitic tropes, you know?
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. I mean, he was trying to make a joke, but I mean, like, is it a joke if an anti-Semite would say the exact same thing? Like... You're really torn that because you want to defend the...
No, that didn't bother me that much.
That didn't really bother me that much. It's just like, depends on the tone. I mean, you know...
I think, and I also know this person, I know what he's posted, and I think he is anti-Semitic, and I called him out on it, and he tried to say, no, when he said the landlord, he meant Israeli. And I think that's double speak. I think he knew he was playing a Jewish
First of all,
tropes.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I'm not going to say his
we don't
name.
have to say, yeah.
Why?
But
we will off the...
I want to tell you, that if we are talking about the same person, I got the most vile, anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli, you can call it whatever the fuck you want,
Careful, Juanita.
DMs from that person that are categorically anti-Semitic and
course,
just fucking disgusting.
No, he's awful, so I no longer... I've blocked...
Is he a regular here at the Cellar? Can we at
No.
least... Okay. Is he a semi-regular here at the Cellar?
He didn't get passed because of the Zionist agenda against...
No.
I have a question. Would that joke have been offensive before the war? Because people made that joke for years.
It's a good question, and I've thought about that because I do jokes that make fun of
And when
Jews
she
all
says
the
people
time.
made that joke, she means her family.
Non-Jewish people have that joke
Yes.
for years, and it was never offensive before. So
It's a
why
good
is it
question,
offensive
and
now?
I don't want to come off as like I like all types of jokes, and I know this person to be anti-Semitic anyway, so it's like that plays a part. But I think after October 7th, seeing all the dismissal of anti-Semitism and then making a joke within that context where you revel in those anti-Semitic tropes is making a statement, you know?
Yeah.
And it's part of an agenda to like kind of further anti-Semitic tropes. You know?
It is a very good question. And I think that before October 7th, it would not have been as
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what?
offensive.
I think I stand with Dan. I think intentions mean everything. Like
Right,
doesn't
and I'm
necessarily
telling you that his intentions
No, he's...
are fucking
I don't know.
anti-Semitic.
Well, I confronted him, and he... Oh, sorry.
I just wouldn't say that joke.
Don't interrupt my wife.
I think that particular joke is anti-Semitic.
Okay.
Well, I confronted, and you know, at one point he tried to say, he's like, "Don't you think what Israel's doing is causing the anti-Semitism?" Which I always think is interesting when people say that because you're basically saying, "Well, no, it's anti-Semitism that's causing the anti-Semitism, right?" But when you're saying if Israel wouldn't do this, it wouldn't be so anti-Semitic, you're basically admitting that anti-Semitism is going to be there, and we have to like make sure not to do anything to disrupt or wake up this dormant beast, you know?
And also, this same person I've never heard them say a word about any of the actual
Right.
genocides that are going on all over the world.
But yeah, and I don't want to just like talk shit about him specifically. I just think a lot of comics.
But we're not doing a good job about that.
But he will know who he is.
Well, yeah.
And people listening to this will alert him to the fact that we're talking about.
I don't care.
But I think that a lot of people are not informed.
Is he of the younger generation?
Understand what they're saying.
No.
That we're not trying to like hone in on
Yeah.
who he is.
Yeah.
It
There's also,
doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't want to speak specific, but yeah, there are I mean, not everyone. I think you can be anti-Zionist and not be anti-Semitic. I think that's possible.
I was gonna ask that.
I think you can disagree with someone's, even if anti-Zionism is upsetting to you, and even if it's illogical. I don't think you necessarily have to be anti-Semitic, but I do think some people are, and you
I
can
think
see
it's
it.
most likely That
The
I'm
odds
not
are
so,
in
I'm
your
not so
favor.
sure.
I
I
am.
think it's equally as likely to just be anti-whiteness
Yeah.
and anti-Western.
but that's not what Israel is comprised of.
that doesn't matter. That's how they perceive it. And
But
so-
that's also one could say that's also its own form of anti-Semitism because
well, it's its own form
if
of
you-
it's bad.
but if you see Jews as only white, you're essentially ignoring their oppression, which is a form of prejudice.
I think it's ignorance more than prejudice.
But most
I
prejudice.
think
Why are they so exercised about it? I mean, how can you get somebody who doesn't have an anti-Semitic bone in their body to devote so much emotional energy to this war and this horror as opposed to the steady stream of horrors that they've seen before and after that never
Well, I think first of all,
awakened them?
it's in the culture, so it's like you're going
But
to.
what does it say about the culture?
It's anti-Semitic.
I mean,
I think also Israel's a flashpoint. First of all, you have it's stoked by the PR campaign of the billions of people that are predisposed to hating Israel. So they put it out there.
And Jews.
Okay, and then that it's like a virus, and people that aren't anti-Semitic will catch this virus.
well, you also, to be fair, also have some horrible people in the government that are a caricature of what people think all Israelis are. People like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir are truly awful, in my opinion. And so there's enough horrible people on both sides to create enough information to create your own reality.
Yeah, but you could say that about people in like the Haitian government too, and
Of
they don't
course,
go around
yeah.
hating all Haitians.
Of course.
Smotrich and Ben-Gvir were elected in 2022, but this animosity towards Israel,
Of course. But
it's almost you're almost giving away much too much by making that allowance for Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. It's as if they really care about Smotrich and Ben-Gvir.
Right.
They don't.
no, but
They don't even know who.
But so the
But when you
question-
see footage of settlers blocking
Yes.
aid trucks coming in, I'm not saying that's a justification for anti-Semitism, but I am saying that can heighten, and it is used by people to further their anger.
Except, what about the videos they see about what Hamas is doing?
Well, we're all watching different videos, which is the other problem.
they see those videos. They're aware of what happened October 7th.
Yeah.
It didn't outrage them the way a settler outrages them.
I actually don't. I do wonder how many people are seeing the same videos. Because, of course, for me, after October 7th, I see all the horrific videos. But I do think a big problem with social media is that I think we all assume we're seeing the same videos, but we're not. And then we're angry at people for not having the empathetic reaction that we have when they're actually having an empathetic reaction to a different.
Maybe,
Different video.
but if you actually care, if you're actually interested, you can see whatever videos you
True.
want to see. Like you have access to all of it.
True.
I think the answer to Noam's question, I'm sort of repeating myself, as to why this conflict gets such attention, is because this conflict is perceived as white Europeans, wrongly perceived as, but perceived as white Europeans versus indigenous brown people.
Well, it's like-
and I think that
Yeah.
can explain 90% of the answer to Noam's question,
I
as
think
to
that-
why this conflict is getting the attention it gets, as opposed to others.
I
And
think-
you think
yeah.
that explains the anti-Semitism?
No, the
that's-
anti-Semitism is explained by anti-Semitism. I'm saying that many people are not anti-Semitic. They're just they're lunatics, but they're not anti-Semitic.
They're both. I think you have the classic anti-Semitism, and then you have the college kids looking for a way to see everything in terms of a colonial thing and forcing Jews into that, which is a way to expiate their own white guilt.
I think it's very telling once you start chipping away a little bit and asking some of these people questions, and it becomes very obvious that many of them don't know what the
Right.
fuck they're talking about, except they're very happy to scream to obliterate the state of Israel.
Noam has a look as though he's distressed.
I'm thinking about it because one thing you might expect, if Dan is right, is that when we have these outrageous anti-Semitic outbursts, that the people that Dan is describing, who are not anti-Semitic but simply,
Yeah.
would be quite upset about it and would speak out about it. Say, what are you guys doing? We don't hate, like, this is crazy. We don't hate the Jews.
Right.
But they don't.
Well, because they perceive Jews as white, and so all
No,
bets
but
are off.
But when actually Jews are being attacked, we say,
Well, when white people, if white people were attacked, they wouldn't care either.
If I was protesting against affirmative action, and people thought that was racist, and then I saw people, going outside black people's houses and attacking them, I say, what the fuck are you doing? No, I don't want any part of you. I'm against affirmative action. I'm not one of you fucking racists.
Right.
I would immediately react against it in a heartbeat because I wouldn't want to be confused for those people.
I think
don't paint me with your fucking KKK, bro.
I think those.
But we don't see that.
I think those people, the anti-colonial side, like protesters, I think in their head they have somehow managed to completely separate Zionism and Judaism, which I don't think is an easy thing to do, and I don't think you can fully do it, but I think they have completely separated it to the point where they think in their ideological kind of like purity, they're like, no, they're two different things. And so any talk of anti-Semitism is a distraction from my main goal. I don't believe that, but I think that's what they think.
You're an expert in world history.
Yes.
Was there...
I don't know why anyone's laughing. I am.
Was there ever a time when if you could speak to the anti-Semites, that they would think of themselves as anti-Semites, or would they always have some sort of rational,
absolutely.
Semi-rational reason?
There were parties in Germany called the anti-Semitic Party.
It used to be.
I think people wore it as a badge of honor. Yes, look that. Somebody Google that. Maxwell.
I thought the word anti-Semitic came...
No, the word anti-Semitic's about 100 plus. I don't know how old it is.
It's a good name for a band.
Well, but there were people that were proudly anti-Semitic.
but
proudly so.
Proudly anti-Semitic, like these people are proudly anti-Israel. In other words, would they, if I say, why do you hate Jews? Wouldn't they come up, well, because of this and because not? I don't actually hate anybody because of the way they're born. It's just, they did this, they did that.
I think the Nazis hated them.
Yeah, the Nazis.
No, but
I don't think Hitler was like, don't get me wrong.
But the
Jews
Nazis would have said they did things.
But wait a second. When you're talking about like even what we were talking about earlier, when you're like, oh no, it's not the Jews, it's Israelis. Like that overarching statement also is so anti-Semitic because
yes.
And by the way, I would like to just circle back to this for one moment because since we're talking about it, many months ago when this whole thing started, the same person, the same comic, who I was quite friendly with, by the way, had.
Can we mute the mics here with a comic?
Could somebody just write it down and show us?
I feel so bad.
I don't even know if you'll know.
Whisper in my ear.
I'm not going to whisper it in your ear like on camera.
Well, text it to me. Just text me.
Does it make a difference?
I'm curious too.
What are we going to play? Like a game of?
Just
You're
his
not
telephone. Tell him he's deaf.
Text me the damn name.
I don't want to text it. I don't think you're going to even.
Say it louder.
Well, why can't you text?
If I say it louder, you
Just
can
say it.
Wait, you tell me because I want to know if she's going to say the same thing.
She did.
Oh,
I heard.
I don't
think I know.
She said the same thing?
Yeah.
I think I heard that. Let me just.
I'm sure everybody heard it. It doesn't matter. What I want to say
Great
is
comic, by the way.
Seriously,
I do think
Is
that.
this the name you said? Is this the name?
Yeah.
I mean, Dan, there are like
Can I
fucking
say
8
something?
cameras. Wait, let me just
I
tell
don't
you
know the guy.
It doesn't matter.
I don't-
We had.
Should we be using him? He's good.
He is great. He's a great comic. I truly believe that. He's a great
I
comic.
don't give a shit what he
Okay.
said to you.
Look,
Can I get through this story?
is he going to kill harder than everybody else kills? I mean, is he?
I went back and
I
forth.
mean,
Book Dan first. Book
No, I'm
him
just
more,
saying.
But,
I'm just saying everybody kills. It's not that hard.
Every war,
That's not-
somebody dies.
That's
Can
not true.
I get through this? I had a back and forth with him. I really was pretty good friends with him for a long time. Back and forth with him in what I really thought was a good faith conversation of kind of different perspectives. And then he started sending me the most vile messages, including a picture of a dead baby.
he did that to a lot of people.
And I said,
Well, that's disrespectful.
why would you send me, like, I would never in a
No.
million years send that to anyone. Why would you send me a picture of a dead baby?
Well, you wouldn't send him a picture of a dead Israeli child. That's
I wouldn't,
That's
right?
the thing. You
That's-
can do it both.
right?
You can do it
but
both
I
ways.
wouldn't
ways,
send
yeah.
that to anyone.
Well, he's insane.
Yeah.
He's insane. I mean, I really do think
It's so garbage, and it was so disappointing to see somebody like operate in. Because I really had more. I gave him a lot more credit than that, but like to operate in such bad faith.
Well, I think and a big thing that's happened, I think lately. I have a friend who he was drinking a cup of Starbucks coffee, not in Starbucks, somewhere else, and a woman came up to him and said, "Fuck Starbucks and fuck Israel." Oh, no, she said, "I hope you enjoy your cup of genocide. Fuck Starbucks and fuck Israel." And they walked away. Now, obviously, this person's an idiot, but I do think that's symptomatic of a big problem happening now, which is people are not seeing the individuals in front of them.
Right.
They're being rude to the people in their lives for these abstract concepts. And that's a big problem right now, where people are prioritizing what they think is some humanitarian thing over actual human decency.
But also behind a screen, right? Because
Right.
I was
Well, this
like,
wasn't
let's
behind
go
a screen, but
have
yeah.
a cup of coffee and like have a conversation. Like I would
right.
really welcome
Right.
that.
But
like,
this was in person. I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but
no,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, but I'm saying like I haven't experienced anybody have the fucking audacity to behave like that
You're a little
to my
scary.
face.
I've had
You
that.
should see her.
Have you
I
ever
have had that. I just had that on Saturday with one of the musicians that I, good friends with. That he said similar to what Periel is saying. He goes, "I'm talking about Israelis. I'm not talking about Jewish people."
Right, right.
You're like, oh,
What
that's fine.
really upset me is that he has Jewish children. And I was like, you know what? You're a fucking disgrace. Like, it just drives me crazy. There's no separation. But they actually believe, and a lot of it is this, they're not educated enough to understand. Like, a lot of them say what Dan is saying as well, is that, they're not talking about European Jews.
Right.
They try to separate the two when it's all just one thing.
And when you went to, we went to the Nova exhibit, and you see the Hamas people on the screen, and none of them are saying free Gaza. None of them are saying Israeli. They're saying I killed a Jew.
That's
and they're saying Allah Akbar. They're not, for them, it is a religious thing, and it is, they don't separate Zionism and Judaism.
Right. I don't think
So-
they separate the blood. It's you're
Yeah.
a Jew, you're a Jew. It doesn't matter what kind of Jew you are.
Yeah, and they killed
Right.
also
I
non
know, it's actually bonus points. Like it doesn't even matter.
Have
if
you
you're
have you heard any
Jewish.
comedians do jokes, either pro-Israel jokes or pro-Palestine? Just, well, you mentioned this one comedian did the joke, but that was really a joke about Jews being landlords.
Yeah, I don't-
that really
I don't
didn't
even
cut.
find
That
that-
didn't cut to the heart of the conflict.
No.
Has anybody really addressed in legitimate ways?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people do jokes. Yeah, because, they're not all. It's hard to do a
Yes,
joke.
I
I've had some
have.
jokes.
I mean, I think that there's a joke.
There's a joke about the fact that there is I've heard comedians, like, somebody will say, "Oh, who here is from another country?" and somebody say Israel, and they go like, "Who else?" They're joking about the fact that it's sensitive.
Yeah.
They're not actually attempting to address the conflict and address the issues of the conflict, like somebody like Chappelle might do.
Right.
Chappelle has.
I agree.
Is that the kind of thing?
Yes,
he would do?
I saw a clip of
I don't know if
somebody
he has
going on
done it.
stage and go, fuck Israel, fuck Israel, fuck Israel.
pretty good.
Where did they do that?
How long do they take
that's
to
not-
write that bit?
Where's the punch?
I know. It's a brilliant piece.
Where was
really.
that? Not here, I assume.
It was, no, it was not here.
It was like at a mic or at a club?
No, it was at a club.
I don't think to do a good joke about it, you have to exactly show your ideological agenda. Often that's like typically a bad joke if you're showing that. I've done jokes about it. I try to do jokes that aren't
Right, ideologically.
ideological because but it's hard to be funny when you're like.
Every time somebody in the audience says I'm from Israel, I'm afraid that I'm going to hear boos. I haven't heard boos, and I don't know if it's because because I have an exaggerated sense of how hated Israel is, and people really don't care, or if because people don't want to boo in a comedy club because they're afraid they're going to get thrown out. But every time, because Israelis they don't seem to have any shyness about saying I'm from Israel.
No, they don't.
And you're
You're right. They do seem a little aggressive, don't they?
One problem is that it's impossible to judge whether a war was worth it during the war. So we're seeing, 15, 20, 25,000 innocent Palestinians die. Now, of course, war is horrible, and that's the way wars always are. But, my goodness, if it was my children, nothing would be worth that. So, we killed all these Germans, we killed all these Japanese, and somehow we say, well, now that we see how it turned out, it was worth it. We saved the world from the Nazis. Look how the West has turned out. Look how Japan has turned out. But look at Vietnam, where we lost 40,000 Americans.
No,
Okay, well,
55,000.
55,000. That wasn't worth it.
Right.
Couldn't judge that at the time. If somehow we had turned Vietnam into South Korea, then we say, well, of course that was worth it. And there's part of me which I won't be shocked if it turns out that this war wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Having said that, that doesn't mean that Israel's doing something immoral now. And they really, I try to think about it from various angles. They haven't got much choice to do what they're doing.
It's a hopeless situation.
But I can certainly understand people saying, I just can't process that this is worth it.
But one thing, people.
You guys are too powerful and too, in the end, not threatened by these people to warrant killing that number of their civilians, even if they're using them as human shields. I can understand that argument.
Yes, but from there to say it's a genocide.
No, the genocide is infuriating.
And people talk, even people that will say that the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were morally wrong, even those people don't use the word genocide to characterize those bombs.
Then that is a question. Why do we use genocide for this and not for Hiroshima?
They use it because they want to erase the Holocaust in some way.
Yes, and
That's the only reason.
And I feel like there's a lot of people are kind of, in a way, they're almost like, I care about this so much, I'm going to use words wrongly. And
this is what they did with apartheid as well, which is not to say that there's not real issues.
Of course, yeah.
But
there are.
All the issues in Israel stem from, even if they are then used opportunistically, they stem from real security concerns, from real bombings, from real suicide bombings. Every new rule in Israel came from some situation where something had to be done.
But you do have these horrible supremacists now in power because of Netanyahu making a pact.
But they're not in power.
They are in power. They're head of finance. They're head of the police. They are in power. They're trying to destroy the PA's economy. They are in power. And you have these supremacists, and that is something what Netanyahu did by making a pact with the devil with them has really hurt Israel's standing in the world. They're the ones using the genocidal language, whether they're in the war cabinet or not. That is his biggest sin, to have done that. And that goes beyond security. That's supremacy.
We'll see. At some point, Netanyahu won't be prime minister anymore, and we'll see if Israel's standing in the world improves. Don't hold your breath.
Do you think that and I'm not saying that I'm no fan of Netanyahu, but I don't think that I think whoever is in power, the anti-Semites are going to be exactly as they are. And the other thing is that's very telling is that whenever anybody has a conversation and they employ this rhetoric, they never condemn Hamas.
Right.
And why is that? It's because I agree with Noam entirely. Like, I think it's a tragedy. Like, the innocent Palestinians that are caught up in this, it is absolutely fucking devastating. And I would never in a million years make a light of that. And I watch them and I see it, and it's not lost on me that people are suffering. But when you have people who are saying the other shit, like the person who we were talking about previously and many, many others, you never fucking hear it.
Right. And that is, to me, in my own opinion, its own form of racism, because you're not giving... To really treat people like humans, you have to give them accountability.
Of course.
And when you take away Hamas's accountability, you're infantilizing a whole culture, and you're essentially, in a way, I think it's this kind of, and this is the anti-colonial kind of thing where people used to say white people were the best, and now these people are saying white people are the devil, but you're still centering white people, and you're not believing in the fact that Muslims are a huge majority over there, and they are.
But why isn't anybody also acknowledging the fact that Jews have been run out of every single?
Because they don't want to criticize brown people, because they only feel comfortable criticizing Western civilization, which is a problem.
Half of Israel is brown. They're from Morocco and Iran.
But Gaza's more brown.
Right. And the other thing,
no, but that is racist. They don't. It's the same reason they look at, like, the far left will call everything Handmaid's Tale. Besides the actual Handmaid's Tale, which is the women in Iran, You know, 'cause
Right,
they don't
that's
want
right.
to. They don't want to criticize anything outside Western
Right,
civilization.
because if it doesn't fit your narrative,
Yeah.
then you don't look at it, and that's not real. Like that's not.
Well, it's also racist because you're not people progress like it's racist to just assume, well, they're just going to be doing savage stuff and they have no accountability. That's racist to not grant people accountability, you know?
And I very much do not like the rhetoric when people say like everyone in Gaza is Hamas. Like that really bothers me.
Of course,
I think
yeah.
that's really unfair to a
not
lot
true.
of innocent people,
Yeah.
and I think it's disgusting. But I would like to see people condemn when like you find out that Noah Argamani was being held by like a fucking doctor,
right.
like being held hostage
journalist,
by
yeah.
an actual a journalist. Like, okay, like, you know, the lines maybe are blurred. You're writing for like the Hamas Chronicle or whatever the fuck it is.
Al Jazeera.
It wasn't Al Jazeera. It was the Palestine
It
Chronicle.
was also an Al Jazeera.
But to a doctor,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think like,
just like don't fucking gaslight me. Like don't try to tell me
yeah,
like
of course. Yeah. I think it's dangerous to like, to see all, Gazans as Hamas. And obviously anti-Zionists are doing that with Israel, where they're not giving Israel the benefit of a conflicted soul, that benefit of thinking that Israel's full of all different people with different views, but they have this kind of Zionist entity, which is, you know,
Zionist propaganda.
yeah, which is anti-Semitic. Yeah.
We can certainly continue this discussion, but there are a couple of other things that I would like to get to. I leave it up to the panel.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, Noam, I would like to bring up the Inflation Relief Act, the Comedy Cellar Inflation Relief Act of 2024. It's a bill that I'm proposing. I'm putting it on the floor.
Asking for a raise?
I'm asking, what I'm asking for is a win-win situation where you raise the cover, and of the extra profit that you make, you keep some of it, and some of it goes to the comedians,
Like points.
and everybody wins.
Customer doesn't win.
Well, fuck the customer. No, the customer doesn't win. That is correct.
I'm not
Except
sure
for the
the
fact-
business wins. When you raise prices, you lose business.
You lose
Well,
customers.
but do you really think that you'd lose business? I mean,
Of
you
course,
haven't raised
always,
prices.
You always lose business when you raise prices.
Well, it depends on the elasticity of the demand.
I love how we're like anti-Semitism is a problem. And he's like, can I
know,
get more
so
money? Can I get more money as a comedian?
Yeah, when they make these Jew jokes, I
And
mean,
then you're like, hell no.
seriously. Imagine if he was your
No,
landlord. What the hell?
We literally went from dismissing anti-Semitism to just two Jews haggling.
Goodness, this is so crazy.
But, by the way, I won't benefit much from this because I don't work here that often. However,
You're being selfless.
because of my solidarity with my
Aren't we still
colleague,
paying more than the other clubs?
yes, but to whom much is given, much is expected. And I think, and other clubs, by the way, have higher
To
cover
whom much
charges.
is given, much was earned.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are.
Well, much was earned, but
I'm kidding, I'm
the
kidding.
fact that you're smarter than every other club owner, what was given to you.
I will take that under advisement. I don't think that's crazy,
Okay.
but I really don't want to raise my prices.
Oh my God, this is insane.
I won't
We
accept
pay
a
more,
raise.
we pay more
For the
than all
stand-
the other comedy clubs, right? But then you want us to pay even more.
Things have gone up a lot, but the
Well,
stand.
it's just inflation is what
Yeah,
it is,
no,
and
yeah.
other
For
clubs,
sure.
other clubs have high. If I worked at other clubs, I would, and those other clubs weren't on the verge.
Think
Half
about
of the
this.
clubs I work on the verge of going out of business. I might propose it to them too.
Can I ask you a question?
Wonder
So
what-
the
wonder
other
what that
clubs are charging
correlation
more
is.
than us. Why are they not paying you more?
Look, that's another issue. Some of these clubs are hanging by a thread. You
How
know.
could they're paying you?
Some
they're
comedy club
paying you
tickets are
more.
really expensive.
Yeah, I know.
Credit
Yeah, the
crazy.
Charging
stand-
way a lot more than us.
The stand is $10 more than we are on a Saturday night.
Yeah, you should ask them for a raise.
Oh, look,
They don't use me, but I might if they did.
I want to say this to everybody
You know,
out
this
there
is-
in comedy land.
Okay. And but
No?
When the club charges a service fee, like for the tickets, the club is keeping most, if not all, of that money.
Yeah.
I found this out recently. So, like, if you buy a ticket $30 plus a $5 fee, they're really charging like a $35 cover.
Right, because that's not just a credit card thing, right?
No, it's not just
Yeah.
a credit card thing.
No, yeah.
It's not just ticket service. So I actually made some calls to one of the ticket services. Said, "Well, how much is this fee to have to charge?" Like, it's up to you. You can keep all of it, a little bit of it. Like, really.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but a lot of these comedians have door deals where they make a percentage of the door. But if $7 a ticket is coming in through the service fee,
Oh, wow.
the comedian's not getting that.
They're not getting the service fee, bullshit fee.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
guy says, "Yeah,
We
you're
don't have
right."
that.
That's good to know.
It's true.
That's good
Is there
to know.
You don't
anything
have
else?
any of that. It's so like crazy.
I like your strategy, though. I want more spots and to be paid
Look,
more.
yeah, well, obviously we all want more,
Now, Dan, let me ask a question.
but
When you woke up this
I
morning,
understand that, you know,
like how
it's
long-
a suggestion.
Yeah, I know, I understand, but like how
Take it
long?
for what you will.
How long were you plotting this ambush? Did you
No,
wake
I've
up like,
actually
"Today's
I
the
brought
day"?
it. I brought it up before, no,
Public
on the
ambush.
show, and you were. I brought it up before, and you didn't think it was crazy, so I
No, of
figured I'll
course
bring it
not.
up again. You know, because
As opposed to most people, I never get mad when somebody asks for more money. Why shouldn't somebody ask for more money?
It's especially a good idea to do it on the podcast.
On the
Yeah.
I mean, timing is everything. I just
Well,
feel
because
not
I
like in
think-
like a meeting.
I
are
think
you
it's-
aware of your surroundings?
So,
Because
Noam,
it's-
you agree to pay the comedian.
I think
for
it's
it.
an
Just tell
interesting
everyone.
discussion. I think it's a discussion that gives this podcast its particular flavor is that you get an inside look
We do
at,
need a-
at the goings on of how a comedy club
Look at
works.
Juanita's
We do
face.
need now more than ever to combat
But it-
The
Jewish
fact that he really
stereotypes.
believes that is hilarious.
And the
to me.
best
my
part,
part.
the best part, Juanita, is you make more money too.
No,
Because if you raise the cover, we're not going to get all of that.
How do I make more money? I have to split it with him.
But that's,
Why don't you add the service fee and give the comedians that?
no,
It's first of all, it's such a scam, that service fee, and it's disgusting, and I would never do that.
I'll go as far as to say I won't accept a raise if Noam can also make more money at the same time.
That's very brave. That's
No,
very noble.
If we charge, well, let's say we pay 150 on in underground. Is that 150?
125 in the underground
125.
on
I
the
can't believe we even talked about this.
on the weekend.
So you want to, let's say you wanted to raise it to 150.
Okay, 150.
So
That covers my cab.
it's-
For example.
how many people on a show?
6, 7.
6,
Five.
5 people,
No, it's
$125. So yeah, we could do that.
This is the wrong episode. You can't go from anti-Semitism to this conversation.
I'm sure we're going to cut this whole
Well,
thing out. 'Cause I find it disturbing.
I don't see why this conversation is anti-Semitic. We're talking about a club owner who gives more money than all the non-Jewish owned clubs.
Okay.
So if
Right.
anything, this is a philo-Semitic discussion.
Fair enough.
That's
Fair
true.
enough.
That's true.
Now let me ask you the question because this came up the last time I gave a raise. It was like in 1990.
1936.
Do comedians prefer to have their raised like $25 to be more substantial just on the weekends to like a smaller raise throughout the week? Because the weekdays it's tough to raise the cover and it's tough to raise the pay.
As someone who's typically on the road during the weekends, I would prefer the
You
weekdays.
prefer the weekdays, but
Since
the
I'm not.
problem is that like we charge like $14.
Right,
We don't have the
right.
you know, like we could raise the cover $5
Yeah, yeah.
on the weekend, right?
But you don't think you could do it during the week?
No.
No, I think.
I guess you
people
could
see
take some of the money from the weekend and sprinkle it through everyone.
No.
Okay.
You should just do a bucket like back when they used to do in Greenwich
Yeah, like
Village,
pooling tip.
You know?
Tip bucket?
Yeah, like back when they used to do when at the back, the coffee houses.
I'm okay with the tip bucket.
All right, I'll start bringing mine up.
Would you,
Or you could let every comedian sell merch after the show. Just have 7 comedians at different tables selling merch.
I really have this probably irrational fear of raising my prices.
yeah.
I think it needs to.
Well, when everything else is going up, it doesn't
it
hardly
totally
seems
needs to be
unreasonable.
like
As
that.
everything goes up, I feel like
He's thinking about the customer.
we're
Right.
getting a competitive advantage, and we're opening a new place soon. It's going to cost millions of dollars to build, and I want to make sure that I have the overflow that I have now there,
Right.
ready to fill that place. If we were already open there, and I saw how we were doing, then I mean I can commit to you that if we open the new room
Yeah.
and it's doing well, then I will definitely raise everything. I'm worried about doing it now.
All right,
But-
fine.
But, maybe $1 or $2
bit-
no, to the cover. I mean.
I think
I feel like the other clubs can't raise their prices because we
they're
don't.
Right,
so high already.
I love
it.
Everyone's so low.
When is so apropos of the new club? When do you have a better idea of when it's going to open? Because before you just said sometime in 2025, you couldn't really be more precise. But
Maybe a year from today.
Year from today?
Now, what's your next topic?
Okay, yeah, we've exhausted that
Can I
topic.
ask my wife anything about her sexuality?
We've exhausted that topic. Okay. Do I have another topic? My special is out. Raanan has a special at Brave, and we've mentioned that.
Brave on YouTube.
That's
Check it
available
out.
on
Just came out.
YouTube.
Yeah. Filmed here.
Nice.
My special that we have that Periel named it, by the way.
What's the name of
A
it?
Little Bit Bananas. I think that's
I do like that.
that's a reference to the joke that I do about. I don't know if you know the joke.
I know the joke. Great joke.
thank
The condom joke?
Yeah, that's the one.
It's a great joke.
And a reference to the fact that I am, as it happens, a little bit bananas.
a little mentally unwell. Yeah.
You know, and so that's special. It is now the company that did it, they're putting it out. You have to pay for it
No, but that's not true because I also did another special that's going to be on that. And I don't think you have to pay for it on Amazon.
if you have Prime membership.
Yeah, which is
I guess
that's
most
the
people
word.
do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got to pay like $4, and it's on Apple, and if you have Spotify or Apple Music, you can listen to it. So anyway, it's out there. So
Are you happy with it?
I haven't watched it.
Oh my God.
You'll know.
But I'm told that what's up, Raanan?
No,
Now,
what you're
correct me if
saying.
I'm wrong. We're the only club that gives out the room for free to do specials, right? Or do other clubs do that?
Yeah, you're really generous with the room. Not only do you give it out, you like you
Wait, what? What do we do?
well, give us some of the door. I hope.
We give you all of the door.
Whoa.
Oh shit.
We give you all of the door, and we let you.
No,
fill
not
it
all
for
the
free.
door, but
Well, I
all
didn't
the
get
door.
it. Did it? But
oh, was it all the door?
It's
No, when I did my
100%.
when I did
Oh,
my
wow.
Yeah.
when I did my taping, am I supposed to get any of the door?
Oh my God.
What's the matter with you, Ryan?
I don't know.
What
I mean,
were you
hardly.
doing?
I did the taping.
It depends. It depends if you did it on a night at a time slot that we're normally dark,
Right.
or if it's normal business
okay.
hours. If it's a time we're normally dark, like you probably did your special like at a 6 o'clock hour or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Let's go with that.
Then either we ask the comedian to double the cover, essentially, and they can take their
Right.
extra share or add to the like. If you want to do your special at a time we normally charge $20, if you think you want to charge $30, we'll give you the $10.
Okay.
But if you do it at a time when we're normally dark, because a lot of times like 6 o'clock hours, whatever it is,
Yeah, we
then
don't
we will
know.
give the comedian.
Are you taping a special?
I didn't tape it. I taped the album, so I have a special out that's you can watch, and I have an album out that I sent to Sirius, and hopefully they play it there.
What are you calling that?
That's just called In Deep. It was a name we came up with.
In Deep,
It
yeah.
doesn't
Who
have
came
any.
up with that?
Who gives a fuck what the name is?
It sounds kind of gay.
I was
In
thinking-
deep.
In Deep.
It does.
You don't
It
say.
sounds like a porno.
In deep. Yeah.
Well,
little-
anyway,
Oh, I
so
see.
I taped it here
porn.
on Mother's Day at 5 p.m. and then it did a week later at
Does
10
sound-
p.m.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's dark.
It does sound like an anal
Yeah, way.
an anal fisting
it
porno.
wasn't
yeah.
a huge turnout, so I wouldn't expect much.
It might have
anyway.
been the name. I mean, I don't know if I would tune into something that was like.
No one's
deep.
going to know the name. It's just tracks to send to Sirius, so they play it. They don't even.
Does
you won't
Sirius
even
get
see-
to change the name?
It doesn't matter. You don't even see. I don't even think you see the name on the fucking.
Have
I
you
think
ever
you do.
watched?
It's like,
selection?
do you want to? Yeah, you do. The names come up.
It's good that wasn't the Amazon name.
No,
otherwise
when
it'd be
you're
in the,
listening to Sirius
gay porn
Radio
category.
and your clip comes on, do you see the name of the
Yes.
album?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Or when your show comes on, you see the name.
Do
This,
you?
Yeah.
this is just clips for Sirius. I don't think
You
the
don't
name.
have Sirius, do you?
In
I don't
deep.
have Sirius.
In deep.
Indeed.
Have you ever watched gay porn?
No.
He's like, I just called.
Well,
that
no.
porn.
I mean, watching. I used to watch Midnight Blue, and there would be advertisements for gay porn that would come up in between the straight stuff.
Have you ever watched it?
No.
Why'd you have to? It's
It's a hesitation.
I've watched a lot of porn. I had to kind of go through my memory. That's like a long Rolodex.
I have watched transsexuals have sex with women.
That's not gay porn.
I don't. Well, I leave it up to you. If it's gay porn, it's gay porn.
Gay
But-
porn is.
Well, I've watched women peg men.
You've watched women what?
I don't
Peg
know.
men.
Women.
But that's
peg
not
men.
gay.
Peg
You
like
are
this, the
you
dildo?
No, you
Yeah,
learned
yeah.
the definition to this a couple of
Well,
shows ago.
peg?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't know. it.
Well, so anyway, what's
I just learned it now.
What's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
line of
Yeah.
questioning you're driving at?
no pun
Just occurred
intended.
to me. I was wondering. Have you ever watched gay porn?
Define gay porn.
Two people of the same sex.
Oh, wait, you don't mean
Oh,
lesbian?
you're including
Black
lesbian?
porn?
I've watched
Lesbian
lesbian
porn.
porn.
Lesbian
no,
does.
not lesbian.
Oh, yeah.
Two men.
Not lesbian?
No, that doesn't count.
But that's not gay porn?
No.
It is. There's.
Well, have you ever watched male gay porn?
No. I mean, not.
Well, it's
actively.
if you're asking a guy if he's watched gay porn, it's assumed that you don't mean lesbian porn.
I've never watched a porn, but I've watched like these HBO movies that have a lot of sex, and Noam will walk in and be like so embarrassed. He'd be like, "Why are you watching all
Wait
this
a
sex?" I'm
second.
like, "It's
You've-
actual movie."
You've never seen porn?
Never watched a porno.
Really?
Not with a person or by myself. Never.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where
Did you grow up
keeping
religious?
her?
Nope. I just
Is that unusual for women, do you think?
I don't know, but I did see this documentary on HBO. I did watch an episode of Gigolos. Is that considered porn?
I don't think. I mean,
They had sex on the.
Yeah.
There was like male prostitutes that had sex with. I was like, what woman is buying a male prostitute? So I tuned in and I watched an episode. That might be porn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also a lot of foreign films.
Juanita's like, and actually, I also watch.
No, that's true, but I've never watched like a porno film. Like,
Right.
Well, I don't know if they're
I'm
like.
gonna rent this film and watch it.
Well, I've never done that either. I
Well,
mean,
in the
that's
old- in the
it's
old
not
days-
94.
Watch it.
Renan's younger, but in the old days, porno movies were actual movies. They had
Yeah, I was like,
plots.
I've never watched.
Watched
a porno.
the, you know,
Wait, what do you mean movie? Like we're not sitting through like an hour
No,
and a half.
I think it was.
When
No,
I
they
was
did
a
have
kid,
those.
They had a section in the video
Yeah,
store that was
yeah.
printed
Yeah.
off that were like porno.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was like
Yeah.
sequels. There's like a franchise.
Well, like
It's
Debbie
Marvel.
Debbie Does
Yeah.
Douse was an actual movie with a plot of sorts.
I've never seen that. I've never
I
seen
saw
a
it.
porno.
Jones.
What's that?
Devil and Miss Jones.
So you like to watch pornos with plots?
But now it's not.
I don't know.
Now it's not like that. Now it's like.
Now it's I know with the
Now-
attention span. Now they're
Yeah.
very
yeah,
short.
I mean,
Now
there's
it's-
Every porn is like
don't
10
worry, I'll
minutes.
send you
All right,
some
we'll,
good
we'll
stuff.
watch it together because in case.
And then there's like Cinemax would have the softcore stuff in the old days where it was it was softcore porn, but there was a plot and it
Right,
was.
cab with something with cab in it. What was it called?
Taxi Cab Confession.
Yeah.
that's
Was
not-
That
that,
was
That's not
not
porn.
porn.
That wasn't porn?
I watched that. I used to watch.
maybe I'm thinking of something else. No, what was this shit? Cinemax. There's like a porn show. I remember.
It was like a
watching.
series like Cove. Something
Dave's old
Cove.
porn.
Dave's old porn. Yeah.
No, but that wasn't really porn, was it?
That's Dave Tell.
No.
Hey, what about your special?
My well, I did one of those. That's called "It Could Have Been Better" because it could have been better.
Now that's a name.
But
A little bit. You don't like a little bit bananas.
that's
That would
great.
have been bananas. I like that.
But Brave, yeah, is on YouTube. I just released it 4 days ago or 5 days ago, and yeah, watch it. It's doing well, I think.
Why did you name it Brave?
He has a joke, right, about being brave.
I have I have a joke about being brave, but I was actually struggling with the title. Originally, I was going to call it Fat Lispy Jew, but then I worried that when I
fatless what?
Lispy Jew,
Fat lispy Jew.
but then I worried that if I went on podcasts every time they plugged it, I'd feel like bullied. You know, I just get bullied
You were
myself.
bullied.
I mean, you have a lisp.
I'm aware.
Well, our son has a lisp.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I haven't noticed. It's not
the,
a pronounced lisp. It's fairly subtle.
The doctor's coming Saturday morning. She came last week.
Yeah, we need the whole world to know that right now.
Were you bullied for that as a child?
Yeah. Actually, probably bullied more as an adult
Well,
as a comic.
Is it painful? Is it a painful memory?
No, I mean, I got bullied a lot more for being fat. So the fat distracted from the.
now,
I was fatter than I was lispy. So that that was painful.
now a lot of people will say, oh, well, why don't you just lose the weight? So I think that's an interesting discussion. You were bullied for being fat,
Yes.
but you didn't lose the weight. Did you try to lose the weight?
I feel bullied right now.
Well, I think
This is the worst bullying I've ever
I
had.
think people need to know. People need to know.
What's the
it's
matter with you?
fucking-
Yeah, what the fuck?
People need to know.
Why you're so gluttonous?
Why would you not lose the weight? They're bullying you. They're telling you to lose it. Why would you defy
People
them?
need to know. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. What I'm getting at is that people need to understand that it's so hard to lose weight that people will endure bullying because losing weight is sometimes impossible depending on your metabolism, but certainly exceedingly difficult. And I think people need to know and understand that. And I'm certainly doing anything the opposite of what you guys were joking about. What I was saying, I'm
see.
saying the very opposite.
And what about a lisp? Is that hard to get rid of?
How
I don't know anything about that.
it's his? How old is he?
He's 7.
7.
Okay, is it like mine or?
A little less, but I feel like I bully him every day because sometimes he says things to me and I go, speak English. And
Oh,
he goes, Mom, he laughs actually. He
So
goes,
you're concerned about the bullying she does.
Mom, he goes, Mom, I am saying.
She's so mean.
I am mean to my kids. So I'm like, repeat it. Like I make him repeat himself. But like,
Does he go to? I went to speech therapy. Does he?
I asked
Sorry,
for speech
I hired-
therapy,
Which is
and I didn't give
a
it.
term very hard on the lisp. Speech therapy.
Yeah,
But
you
it
know,
didn't. Did it help? Did it used to be worse?
I know the
Is
same.
something you don't want to talk about?
I don't know.
It's a little bit late for that now. Yeah.
Well, I was engaging, and I thought a good line of questioning that completely got sidetracked.
No. You're right. Metabolism. It's tough. I could probably have worked out more, but the bullying leads to getting sad and then eating, so it's a vicious cycle.
that's what I'm saying. Weight
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not just your. It's also
Yeah.
it can be emotional.
Yeah.
Now to,
Yeah.
to conquer the lisp, you have to train on the S. You have to train your tongue to stay behind your teeth, right?
Yeah, I never could really. I do think it was worse, and I think I had some other impediments, but I could never fully figure it out how to really do that.
Is there something anatomical?
I actually don't know. I really don't. I mean, if it's less than mine,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think mine's.
Isn't
It
something
is
where you can cut
fascinating.
the skin
Don't do
underneath
that.
Your tongue to help you talk a little.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
It is
It's
fascinating
like a
how.
little clip you
I guess
don't-
I would've-
It's not anything major. Just to,
I guess I don't know. But I will say, like, he's also 7.
yeah.
So kids have lisps a lot of times.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how
Some
it turns
do,
out.
I
But
guess,
we're going to try to get him help. But not. We're going to. You know.
I
It
just
is
want to say that-
fascinating.
I think it's great. I think he should be part of the community, and I think it's great. I turned out great.
cute.
But
I think
thank God he's thin.
Yeah, thank God he's thin.
Now
But now he'll get made fun of with the lisp. He has no
he'll
distraction.
get made fun of about the list, and then he'll gain weight, and it'll be a whole
Yeah.
cycle of
It
crazy.
sounds like he's getting a lot of practice from you, so he's,
She's
So
not.
I'm like bullying him at home. I'm like, listen, get this, like, you know.
No, I think it looks good. It's
yeah,
you know,
I like it. I
She
think
makes fun of his small dick. Too.
I think
I'm not kidding.
we're roasting him. I think, I don't think a list's a problem. I have a lot of good jokes about it in the special,
Yeah.
So?
I think that it's fine. I think just leave it. I mean, you get him like a little
Well,
bit of
as-
speech therapy. But I don't. I mean, I
No,
just
but
don't
I'm
think
saying,
it's-
like, if there's something you can do to correct it, then of course you want to correct it, right? So I think like there's a lot of like, did you ever
I
get
don't know if it's
looked
as
at
far as whether
medically
it's
to see if
anatomical.
something to do with your tongue or something that you can fix medically.
Max, I don't know if you want to Google whether it's anatomical or
I never,
Sometimes it
people
can
that
be.
speak foreign languages, if they don't, for example, if they're not exposed to the th sound, for example,
Right,
in
like
English,
Spanish.
Yeah.
after a certain number of years, they can't make that, or they can make it, but they have to really
Wait,
make
is
a
English
concerted.
not your first language?
no, it is.
It is.
I have no excuse.
No, the point is that there's other factors as to whether you can pronounce certain sounds. So I'm making the point that people that weren't raised with the th sound, it's a real effort that they have to make that sound.
Well, we're talking about. Were you raised with a th sound?
No, I'm just saying there's other factors. So I don't know what it is. Max is supposed to be Googling.
I talked.
Yeah, it can
I had-
be. It can be
Anatomical as
anatomical.
well.
It
I don't-
can be.
Bring it up on the screen.
I don't know if they had I don't know if they had that information back when I was.
Yes, a lisp can be caused by anatomical factors such as an enlarged tongue, jaw misalignment, or tongue thrust.
you could
I
cut
have-
his tongue out.
I have all of
No,
those.
not cut his tongue out. There's a
Yeah.
little thing that if you look at the bottom of your tongue, there's like a little skin that attaches to the bottom.
Overbites,
That
narrow
maybe you can cut it
dental
a little
arches.
or something.
Well, could you scroll down a little bit, see what other?
That sounds really
Did you
traumatic.
suck on a pacifier for a long time?
Is there
Were
is
you-
there
Were you
lisp?
a thumb sucker?
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember being something like. I mean, someone just recently commented on a thing saying your tongue is really big, so maybe that is something.
Well,
to do
I
with
think
it.
Benny might have a big. Do they have lisp porn? Lispy cunnilingus?
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Schindler's Lisp
I can
and.
see that. I can see that.
And I'm trying to think of another one. Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't think if it's. I mean, I don't think mine is that bad. So if it's less than mine, I feel like less than mine is not a lisp,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
It's not that bad. But when you're a parent, you just want.
Of course, I would not worry too much. Sometimes making it trying to overly correct can be a little
Yeah,
traumatic.
I think it's mild, but
Yeah.
when you have, I have 4 children. You can tell. I have one
You should
kid that
stop
just
maybe making fun of him.
Just tell him
make
he's
fun of all of my kids.
just tell him he's embarrassing you all, and he'll get better. He'll understand.
No, he doesn't.
The way I'm handling it is I'm teaching him a lot of synonyms to S words.
That's good.
So
He'll get the unfortunately thesaurus, but but other than
I
that,
can learn very clever.
yeah,
words.
you become verbose. You become learning different words, and that's great. Yeah.
So now when he says something, when he does something, instead of saying I'm sorry, he says I'm contrite. I'm contrite.
It is tough. It is tough in
I'm showing contrition.
atonement. It is tough. The one thing is, as you get older, like dirty talk can be tough. I can't ever say pussy because it sounds like it sounds like she's fucking a child in bed. You know, like yeah, give me that pussy. So I'm very clinical in bed. I'm like, yeah, I'm crushing her vagina. You know.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. You say,
I'm destroying that vulva, or whatever. But yeah, it's fine. He'll be fine. He's thin. That's all that matters. Just don't be fat, and you're fine.
And don't be a Jew.
Don't be a Jew. Well, he's a Jew.
My
Yeah.
kids are Jew.
But he's part Jew. Yeah. Was that an issue as growing up in Kentucky, or did you go to like a Jewish day school?
I did go to a Jewish day school. I was the only one in it.
You said
but
school.
I went to a Jewish
Your
day
S
school.
was perfect there.
Yeah. Wait, school?
You said school.
Yeah,
Perfectly.
I don't perceive him as having much of a lisp. If it is, it's not a particularly severe one.
Slight.
I mean, maybe it's a Wizard of Oz thing where I just think I have one and I don't. But it feels like you all think I have one.
No, you have. You don't have a little one.
I
It's
feel
a
like
little
maybe
one,
because
yeah.
you told us you have one, we're like, yeah, you have one.
I mean, I do jokes on stage and the audience laughs, so that's that's like a barometer. It's like some people are like, you're not that fat. I'm like, yeah, but I do fat jokes and the audience laughs, so it's like, you're fat. You know what I mean?
Some critical mass.
People always I was losing weight after a little bit. I stopped, but people were like, man, you can't do your fat jokes anymore. I'm like, yeah, I can. I am. They're working. You know what I mean? I am doing them. But yeah. So lispy fat Jew. I was gonna call it that, but
Lispy
the
fat,
bullying.
yeah.
So I called it brave. I have a joke about being brave, but I also thought, I don't know. A lot of the jokes are like not ideological, kind of making fun of both sides. And I remember this person. Sometimes I'll post a bit like that, and someone will comment like, "Wow, so brave, not taking a stance." And I just thought that's a funny comment to me because it's like, yeah, that's what I look for in a comedian: courage. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm not brave. You call a comedian brave because funny is not the first thing that came to mind. So it's kind of like an ironic.
Yeah.
But
title.
maybe you are a little brave because you're taking a stand for Israel in a public forum.
That's true.
Or
That's
maybe you
true.
could have called it Funny Brave.
Funny brave.
I like that.
I created a website because on YouTube it's hard to type my name, and the website makes me seem a little special. You have to go to bravespecial.com, which is a little make a wishy.
All right, Dan, you have any other issues for Raanan?
No issues for Raanan.
No, it's not Raanan. It's Raanan, right? Or it's Raanan?
Well,
I don't know anymore. It could go both ways, I think.
No, like,
How do your
like the
parents say it?
The newspaper Haaretz, people say Haaretz, but it's Haaretz.
So in Hebrew there's a guttural sound that you can't really create in
It's
English.
Ra'anan.
She can do it.
Dan got mad
well,
at
the
me
other
when I called you
day,
that.
Periel mentioned Raanan and said and gave it the full Israeli pronunciation, and it was infuriating.
But that is the only, because that's the only really correct way to say it.
But you don't say it that way, so why the fuck is Periel
I don't
doing
know
it?
how to pronounce my own name correctly.
Listen, but it's a question of whether it's 2 syllables or 3.
It's 2.
No, it's 3.
I mean, it's 3. It's,
But also, you gave it the ha.
that's
that's pretentious. That's another language.
But that is.
But
Yeah.
but
Right, he doesn't pronounce it that way, so you should not.
Similarly, Raanan instead of Raanan.
But here's the problem,
Yeah,
okay?
that-
so if you translate it into English and you said Ra'anan, that's a very cumbersome thing to say in English. It's linguistically tough. You have to go to a lot of places. So the more you say Ra'anan, you will eventually say Renan.
Raanan.
You'll say Renan. So that's why I say either way.
But Raanan is much nicer than Raanan.
Ra'anan is nicer, but it's just it's a hard
a beautiful
thing to...
name.
Wait,
thank you.
how do your parents say it? How did they name you?
My mom-
It only matters what your parents named you.
My mom-
Not how everyone else
My
pronounces
mom is like Renan. My mom's like Renan.
She's American.
Yeah.
Who? Somebody's Israeli.
No, I'm Kentucky Jew.
Are you serious? What kind of a crazy name did they give you in the middle of Kentucky?
I don't know. I guess they just like the name. I don't know. Yeah, all my siblings have kind of relatively normal names too.
But you
Jacob.
grew up religious because you went to Hebrew day school, so I assume you grew up Orthodox or conservative.
I grew up conservative.
Conservative, at least.
By the way, I was doing a show at a synagogue at Chabad synagogue the other day. Apparently, a guy in a keffiyeh was kind of came in without a ticket, and they asked him if he had a ticket, and he kind of walked out. But I think he was gonna yell something.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah.
yeah. But
And it wasn't Purim.
it was not Purim.
Purim is like the Jewish Halloween. I did a Purim show. There are people wearing cowboy outfits and
Yeah.
performing for a bunch of Jews, in costume. It was odd, but
Yeah. No, it was. But yeah, I grew up conservative, kept kosher till I was went to college. I kept kosher, went to college, had my first unkosher food in the
and
cafeteria.
there's no turning back at that point.
Well, I woke up the next day with a cold sore.
Oh, okay.
It psychologically affected
You
me.
feel that God had punished you.
Yeah, and then I ate unkosher food again, woke up with another cold sore, and then I ate it again, and the third day there was no cold sore.
But did you also have unprotected oral sex?
Shit,
I
you're
didn't.
right.
I did not have that in college, but not for that reason. Not for the Judaism.
Did you get laid in college?
Yeah, I got laid. I lost my virginity junior year.
I lost mine a year out of college.
Year out of college.
My only hope for my daughter.
Dan, did you go to old?
I didn't know you went
school as
back to
well?
school, Dan.
No, I went to UPenn,
No,
which
but
is a very Jewish school,
when
but it's
you were
not
a
a
kid,
Jewish
when
school
you
per
were a
se.
kid.
No, I went to normal school.
Yeah.
Where are you from? You're
Stamford, Connecticut,
okay, right,
which is just
right.
about 40 minutes up the road. It's
Honestly, I want to say something to Periel because I used to give her shit about just sending her kid to an old Jewish school, but now with everything that's going on, I'm like, you know what? I think you're on the right track because a lot of these Jewish kids who are raised in America and with all these mixed kids, they have mixed feelings,
right.
and I think that, yeah.
Thank
so I
you.
almost want to take that back. I'm like, you know what, Periel? I think you're on the right track.
You want to try sending our kids to a Jewish school?
No, I think that it's a little too late
No.
for our kids. Maybe
late.
not for Manny and Benny.
Do any of them?
Mila.
Would any of them kick and scream if you sent them to it?
I think my daughter would have.
I was Jewish.
Oh, they always kick and scream.
I went to Jewish elementary school. There's 10 kids in my class, or 9 other kids in my class.
Yeah, but that's in Kentucky.
There were 9
We're
other-
in New
Yeah,
York.
Really small.
Yeah, it was very.
We're
yeah.
in
How
New
many
York.
kids are in Ari's class?
Like 18.
Yeah, that's a normal size.
Hi.
That's what we have in our.
But what's
But
his
there
name?
are bigger schools too.
Yeah.
His
Jonathan Randall. Didn't he go to the Hebrew day school?
I don't know.
I think he did. Didn't he tell us he grew up in a
Well, he had a
religious home?
reaction.
well, he grew up in a religious home with a very religious father, I think, who was really he has an extremely contentious relationship with, if I recall correctly. You seem to suggest that on the show that you asked him if his position was in direct.
Yeah. He said yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he.
Fun anti-Semitism story though. You all know blood libel, right?
Yes.
My great grandfather was accused of murdering a kid.
Really?
Yeah, in Poland, he was accused of. He lives in a shtetl, and the gypsies were in town for a night, and there was a commotion. The Jewish cemetery came over. There was a dead 4-year-old girl, gypsy girl, in a grave, and he was like, he went in.
I didn't
do it. The mother immediately pointed to him and goes, "You did it," to him, and there was a whole riot in the town.
So they believe the gypsies over the Jews.
They believe the gypsies over the Jews. The whole riot in the town. He ended up going to jail, which actually protected him. And then they had actually another girl in town said she saw him killing the child and drawing.
Oh my
blood from-
goodness!
And she
Maybe
actually,
he did it.
yeah, this is the twist. He did it. No, M. Night Shyamalan twist, the Mel Gibson twist. He did, but and this girl said she saw him, and they lined him up with a bunch of other Hasidic Jews, and she pointed to the wrong one, which is why, this is why they all looked the same to get out of that. And he got off, but no one couldn't work anymore, so he left. He left the shtetl. But this was 10 years before.
He was Hasidic? Or
Yeah,
or-
Ger Hasidic. Ger,
So
Ger.
so no one could prove that it was him, but they couldn't prove that it wasn't.
Yeah, and someone wrote a newspaper article saying it was him, and he lost business. It ended up being a blessing in disguise because he left with his family, most of his family, 10 years before the Holocaust.
You put it at 0 probability he did it?
I mean, I'd say 0 because gypsies, they just moved. It'd be weird that it was like the gypsies just came in town. He's like, I got to kill one of them.
Are you saying something racist about the gypsies?
No, I'm saying like gypsies could only be in town for like 24 hours back then when they traveled around Europe.
Oh, they were
So-
traveling
Somebody
gypsies.
killed the gypsy.
Somebody killed
Well, it turned.
Maybe the gypsies killed
Yeah,
them.
well, the story is
Why
that
would-
the
That's what I'm saying. Does he say
the story came out that the kid was ripping up some money and the father beat the kid in it.
Oh, then it
And
makes
she
it
died.
even
I love
more
these
sense
true
that it-
crime stories.
Yeah.
Like I'm so into it. Like
And she actually had a ruptured, I don't know if I get it exactly right. My cousin did a lot of research on it. She had a ruptured liver or something that made it look like she was
Beaten?
drained of like kind of blood or something.
But if she was ripping up
Random.
money, then it would make sense that a Jew would have.
That's a good point. Yeah. But yeah, I actually went back to the town when I was opening for Louis in Europe. And yeah, it was kind of spooky.
I had someone on Twitter today attack me. I did a Twitter post today. It went crazy. Like, I got like a few hundred retweets and all these important Jews comment on it. And one guy writes, "What do you expect from the place who owns the Comedy Cellar where known sexual predators hang out?"
oh Lord.
And I'm like,
They're talking about Dan?
should I
That's
get
not
my
right.
lawyer involved in it? Like,
Yeah, you should. That's outrageous.
What was the tweet?
No, that's
Oh,
not.
I'll
There's
say
not
it's
an
long.
act.
It's
I don't
like-
think there's anything actionable about saying that.
It's outrageous.
yeah,
I mean, do you
But I
get
don't
a
think
lot-
it's-
I didn't even know that was still
But
out
this
there.
is how small-minded people are. So
And by the way,
like,
they said plural.
But also better to be known than unknown. An unknown sexual predator is much more dangerous.
yeah.
known, you know, to not,
No,
you know,
yeah,
if that's not your thing,
that's
you
where
know to
they'll
walk
hang
away.
do you
The
get,
unknown ones you got to really look out for.
do you
Fucking internet is down again. Oh, so go ahead.
do you get a lot or do you get a lot of anti-Semitism?
Almost none.
Do you
As a,
on social media?
I haven't said with the Israel stuff. I've only really posted a couple things about kind of like a concern for anti-Semitism, and they have been kind of attacked by people. I mean, it's not like outright anti-Semitism, but the fact that I'm posting concern for anti-Semitism and people are getting mad at me for that, I guess would be called anti-Semitism.
Earlier in the show, you said you were like unfollowing people that wrote,
Yeah.
anti-Semitic
Blocking
things.
or whatever.
I block
But
a lot of people.
you block them. Do you go back and look to see what they're writing now?
No, because I blocked them. Some of them I mute.
Oh, you
Some-
mean you can't see it after you block?
Block is intense. I have
Block's
blocked a
intense.
couple of people. Blocking means they might find
Yeah,
out.
I blocked Jonathan Randall.
Yeah, I blocked
Then
them.
I bumped into him a couple days later. It was kind of awkward.
I'm trying not
you know
to.
he could listen to this.
Yeah, well, you know,
I'm not
him, I
blocking
think.
anybody. I'm like write it because I know who you are now.
I got
like
some
I will
crazy
like
ass messages the other day.
oh, like
I got,
personally.
yes,
Oh, Lord.
somebody remixed one of my reels, and I mean it was insane. Like I got so many insanely vicious anti-Semitic comments. Like it was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really intense, actually.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather that than be called fat.
So I did a post that got 320 retweets and
That's great. Twitter.
one over 1,000 likes already just a few hours ago. But let me find the sexual.
Wait, but
Predator
what
guy.
was the tweet?
It's long. You have to read it. It's about Bowman Ape. It's one of the
Okay.
it's not just like a short tweet. It's a whole like a little essay. But I was shocked because I was like I almost didn't even send it. I was like I wrote the whole thing and I said, who the fuck do I think I am? I'm not gonna like why would I think it was hear my dumb thoughts, right? Like
Right.
But the dumber the thought, the more it'll go viral.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I sent it. It's just,
Keep it simple.
so but where's the and I got some really amazing comments here. But let me find the guy who said sexual predator sexual.
Which also, what is that? I mean, it has nothing to do with your tweet either way, right? Like,
Yeah. No.
I can't find it now, but yeah, it didn't have anything to do with my tweet. It was which made it kind of fun.
So you think this guy's anti-Semitic?
No, I think he's like he's no, I didn't think it was anti-Semitic.
you should be like, I let everyone perform here. I also have a lot of victims who perform,
He didn't say anything about me being Jewish.
I had someone email me before a show going, do you talk about Israel on stage? They wanted to make sure I didn't talk about like support for Israel on stage before they came to see me.
Would you?
I do jokes about Israel, but I mean, I told them I told them that's fucked up to ask me that. Either buy a ticket or don't.
Right.
You don't get to ask a comedian what his set list is.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I would say that's.
Was it a woman or a man that wrote it?
Is it just a line, known sexual predators?
Yeah, that's basically what. That's basically. It's basically what it said.
Yeah.
From the guy who hosts.
But
Yeah,
what
but
was
who
the,
wrote it? A guy or a woman?
A guy. I'm assuming it's a guy. Actually, you know what? You're right, sweetheart. It could have been a woman.
A woman that's like, you know.
But it was so
But you've gotten that before, haven't you?
not in a long time. Not in a long time. I didn't think I was still on the radar for that. I thought
I know it's really moved over to the Zionism stuff.
yeah. Like after all that, but and I whatever. And so the guy says, "I dare you to debate me on this." I said, "I'll debate you." And then I didn't hear from him again. I said, I'll have you on.
That the guy.
no word back from Amir Zar, speaking of debates.
No.
Who's that?
He's a comedian / law professor from Michigan that's very, 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 very anti-Zionist. And he tweeted something like, I dare anybody to debate me in a public setting. And so I think I said, Periel, well,
so you dared him and no response.
Well, I don't know if maybe it wasn't a public, maybe, I don't know, whatever. But
He never wrote me back.
did you, I think he wanted like a live, I don't know what he wants.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, he could have written me back and
okay.
said yes, but I'd like to do
Okay,
this.
I found
live."
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
His name is Porky the Little Eater. I don't know.
No, stop it.
Yeah, I think that's why I thought it was a man.
Hilarious. His favorite, Porky,
Does
like Porky.
he have his
is
picture
the
there?
ultimate.
He has his picture there.
Porky was also
That's not his picture.
He's a comedian.
Somewhat problematic movie.
That's not him.
Oh, that's what's
I'm
his
thinking of
name?
Porky Pig.
What's his name? He's Ray Romano's Kevin
Yeah,
James.
Kevin James.
So that's not him then. So he's into comedy. This guy's into comedy, and we could probably look at his. But anyway, I don't want to get in trouble. But says noted sex predator hangout. The Comedy Cellar is the worst performing arts venue of any form in New York City. But thank you for the toilet paper, Norm.
Wait, what is that about?
All right, Norm.
The toilet paper?
The toilet, like I wrote a long tweet. Now he can wipe
Oh.
his ass.
Now you're gonna wipe his ass
But
a
it's
bit,
digital.
Norm.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It's digital.
Well, he's going to wipe his ass with his phone.
His phone. He's gonna stick his phone up his asshole.
Write him back. Why- Yeah.
And wait,
use your phone
then
to
he
wipe your
said,
ass.
he
with
said,
it.
"I dare you to debate me on this." And
I
you-
can't go. Yeah, at some point I said I don't understand. Shall I refer this to my attorney? This is ridiculous. And at some point in the back and forth, he said, "Well, if you let me come on to debate you, I'll give you point by point." And I'm like, "Sure, you can come on." And then I didn't hear it.
Sexual predator
Porky
hangout's a
the
pretty
little
cool name for something.
Sexual predator hangout.
It seems kind of cool.
That's how-
It's better than in deep.
Porky the Little Eater doesn't use his real name or his real picture. He's really nobody real. Like it's
No, it's
know, like,
outrageous that
yeah.
you're going to say this is a full circle. Like, okay, so let's have a real conversation, and then
Right.
they just fucking disappear.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why social media is just awful, and that's why I don't post that much about stuff. Just because it's like you can't have a real debate.
I don't mind posting, but I don't really engage. Like, I will not go. I learned
if
my
you know not to
lesson.
engage, because that's
Like,
my worry. That
It's just like you want to have a conversation. I'm happy to have a coffee with you. Really, I really genuinely am. I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
my worry is
social media.
if I post something and people message me and piss me off, I'm just going to be spending more time on my phone.
Just block them.
yeah. I just wouldn't answer.
Yeah, you just block
don't
them.
answer.
But I think it's just good to speak to people in person in general. You know.
Yeah.
I had a comic. We talked about Israel, and he had very nuanced views.
Nuance. What does that mean?
and then a couple days later, he posted something that was somewhat like anti-Israel, but because I had already talked to him in person, it didn't bother me because I knew its full self. But if I hadn't talked to him in person, I just saw that post,
Right.
I would have imagined a much more simplistic person in my head. And that's the problem with social media. We are like, I mean, some people are off the walls crazy, but we're also projecting a character that we don't know. Someone might post something anti-Israel and we assume they're completely way more anti-Israel than we think, or way more. You can't express everything in one post. So I just think it's better to talk to people in person.
Yeah.
All right, I think
Anyway,
we're done here.
Yeah, I think so.
No, we should do another like 3 hours.
No, I get it, because social media, like I'm not big on social media, but I did start a separate social media about Israel. Oh, not
You
for
did?
well, talking about I was reposting other people's posts about
Yeah.
Israel for my own family who are not Jewish, obviously, because I felt like they didn't understand or were educated enough to understand where everything was, that they would fall into this thing where people were doing these protests and saying genocide and not knowing what genocide really meant, or any of those things. Like, as an American, I think everyone's raised to believe that Jews are Europeans.
Right,
They're all
right.
white people. They just don't know.
Yeah.
You
of
know,
course,
so that's why I started my thing, because I was like, you guys speak against any of my kids or whatever, there's going to be an issue. So I started posting it for my family, but then I got banned. I got shadow banned.
Oh wow.
I was like, from what? So it's crazy. And it wasn't even my post. I was just reposting other people's posts.
Right.
So then I decided, you know what? I'm just not going to post any Jewish people. I'm going to post all Arab people. So I posted Arab people saying things about Israel that were like, was correct. And I still got shadow banned. I was like, what is going on here? It was just crazy. But then I see other people have really explicit things on their feed that show killings and things like that. And they're not banned.
Right.
So I'm like, what is going on with this?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. But
Because you have to get reported.
yeah, I think you're getting people are flagging
Your
you.
family's been reporting.
Yeah.
My own family has been reporting me.
Would that shock you?
Yes.
Oh, we should do an episode about your family,
No, we can't do it.
about your Vegas trip.
Yeah, I don't think that they
Oh
would.
my God, Noam.
There is something wrong with him. He's got diarrhea of the mouth. He is like the worst gossiper. It is like, you can't tell him a secret. You can't tell him anything.
Okay, so I think we're
right.
ready to wrap.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to wrap it
Oh,
up.
it's
So Brave, Brave is Raanan's special, and you can see it on YouTube. My special, A Little Bit Bananas. You can check it out. If you don't want to spend any money, you go on Spotify or Apple Music, or if you have Amazon Prime, you can see it there. And I guess that's it. Podcast at comedycellar.com for questions, comments, and suggestions. Bye-bye.